Hey guys, welcome back to Farmstead Forge. So the past couple years of YouTube, I get a lot of questions about my anvils, what brands they are, where they come from, all that kind of thing. So today I'm going through and showing you all my anvils. Stay tuned till the end of the video because we go down to my nephew's shop and look at one of my biggest anvils that kind of got away from me, and it has one of the coolest patch jobs you'll ever see in your life on it. So stay tuned for that. And also a little funny story about that anvil and a young married man. First up, this is the anvil you guys see in my shop a lot. This is my great-grandpa's anvil. I had this professionally redone, and you can see around the edges where they fixed it. It cost me around $400 to get this fixed at the time to do it right. This is 122-pound Lakeside. I believe that this is early 1900s anvil. Don't quote me on that. They all have a serial number down here on the base that you can look them up from. Get my book here, my cheat sheet here. This is a great book if you guys are interested and you're into anvils. It's Anvils in America by Richard Postman. So yeah, the Lakeside anvils were made by Haybudden for Montgomery Ward Company, which would make a lot of sense because a lot of my great-grandpa's stuff that was still on the ranch was Montgomery Ward. I probably will retire this anvil at some point soon. You can see where the edges are starting to break down a little bit, but I have forged a lot of stuff on this anvil, and I would like to just replace it with a bigger anvil, and we can talk about that here in a little bit. And of course, this is not really an anvil, but this is my Vulcan swage block. I had a pamphlet on this that Kurt Davis sent me. I don't remember it had the date on it, but this is probably early 1900s as well. It's a handy little swage block. I got this out of an old barn, and I did not pay anything for this. This was given to me with the stipulation that if I ever got rid of it, it had to go back to the family I got it from. This anvil that is on my treadle hammer, this is a little 50-pound Arm & Hammer anvil, and this thing's kind of been beat to smithereens. I got this at a garage sale, and I don't remember what I paid for it, but it was pretty cheap, but it makes a really nice little anvil for my treadle hammer. And of course, if you want to see a video on this treadle hammer and how I built it, I'll put a card right up here in the corner. I'm not sure on the date of this anvil. It's not really important to me. But I'm guessing it's probably like a 50s or 60s anvil, something like that maybe, I don't know. So this little stake anvil, or bick iron anvil, it's a pretty sweet little anvil. It's in really nice shape. It's a Miller anvil. I couldn't hardly find anything on these guys, so if anybody does have information out there, I would love to hear about it. This anvil I got at an auction sale. It was at the bottom of a plastic milk crate with a bunch of shovel heads laid on it. And I just happened to look through the shovel heads to see if there was any cool shovels, and there was a cool little anvil at the bottom. So I thought that I had this for about 10 bucks, but then an Amish kid started bidding, and I took it up to 40 bucks. I probably would have went a little higher on that too, just to get that little anvil, because this type of stuff's pretty hard to find around here. But I had a friend there at the auction, one of my old clients, and he just was like, what do you want a box of shovel heads for 40 bucks for? But then I showed him after I bought it why I bought it, but I'm not sure on the weight of this. I can check really quick. Yeah, so it looks like it's right about an 8-pound anvil. I didn't want to drive it into the post, so I just made this handy little metal bracket that it slides into. That way I could move it around or whatever if I wanted to. And this little anvil is a French jeweler's anvil. Of course, you saw me forge these little bitty tongs in the one video. Little bitty jeweler's anvil. I was out in Washington on the coast helping my mother-in-law snow a roof on a mobile that she had rented out. And this little anvil was sitting on the porch, and I thought it was really cool, and the gal was out smoking a cigarette, so I asked her if she'd like to sell that little anvil. And she snuffs out her cigarette and she whips it out off the porch and goes inside and slams the door. And I thought, I'll take that as a maybe. So, fast forward about 3 years later, the gal passes away, and my mother-in-law went out there to clean up the property and sell the mobile, and there wasn't much left but a bunch of junk, but inside a shed was a couple blue garbage cans, and this little anvil was sitting right on top of the empty blue garbage can on the lid. It's like somebody didn't want to throw it away, but they didn't know what to do with it, so they set it there. And it's kind of funny how the good Lord has a way of bringing things back to you. So, pretty cool story. 3 years to wait, but I did get the anvil. I'm a little out of shape. So this is a Scott anvil. This is a modern anvil. This is out of my shoeing rig. I have used and abused this anvil for probably the last 5 years. I actually just made this turning cam hardy for this anvil today. I believe I read somewhere where Scott that made these anvils, the company has passed away, but don't quote me on that. For an everyday shoe and anvil, I love this anvil. It's got a nice tapered heel for doing quarter clips on horses. I use this anvil a ton and I loved it. And it's held up really well because I have used it day in and day out almost. Kind of always wanted their 200-pound Mighty Boy, I believe they call it, for a shop anvil. But anymore, I don't build that many shoes in my shop, so I kind of want a Fontanini anvil, like the big one. I don't know, I think it would be pretty fun to have one. So anyway, oh yes. If you would like to see a video on my mobile shop, I will put a card right up here. Of course, this turning cam, I'm going to do a video on this eventually too, so you guys stay tuned. This is a hay button anvil. This is a 161 pounder. I believe when I looked this up, it's either 1880s or 1890s, but my next anvil is around the same date, so I don't remember. I may have got them mixed up. But this anvil I got at an auction sale in Judith Gap, Montana. There's a couple old guys talking, and rumor is that it came out of the Miles City blacksmith shop, or a blacksmith shop in Miles City, but that's just a rumor. But the funny story is at the auction they had this one and a little 50-pound Vulcan anvil, and they set it on top of this one, and the auctioneer said, "Your choice," and then he started the bidding. Well, I took it up to $280, $90, I think, and there's a guy there that used to work for my dad, and he said, "Are you crazy? You're spending that much on that little bitty anvil?" Well, everybody thought the little 50-pound anvil is what they were bidding on. And so after I won the bid, they said, "Which one?" And I ran up and grabbed the big one, and people lost it. They were not happy, and the auctioneer said, "Nope, you guys weren't listening. I said your choice." So I got it for just under 300 bucks. It's the anvil I usually, when somebody comes out and forges with me, I put them on this anvil. It has a good face, but the edges are pretty broke up and dinged up, so it's a good apprentice anvil. So I don't have to worry about taking a good chip out of one of my good anvils, but it's still a good old heavy anvil. This is a Blackjack anvil. They were made by Haybudden for the Simmons Hardware Company in St. Louis. I got this anvil from a ranch that I worked for a long time, and I also shod their horses. I've traded them 2 shoeing jobs for this anvil. It was in really tough shape, so at that time it was probably about $80 for a full set of shoes. And I think when I had them rebuild this one, because it was in such rough shape, I put a ceiling, like I didn't want to go over $200 or $300, so I think I put a couple $300 into it. And you can really tell on this one where they welded it up. This one was always in my barn setup when I'd shoe horses in the barn, and some of my early videos were out there when we were building the addition on the shop and we didn't have power out here, so I did a lot of videos on this anvil. This used to be in my mobile shop, my shoeing trailer. I had this on a swing out the back, and of course it's a, what is it? It's a 149 pounder. So I didn't want to be lugging it in and out the back of my pickup. So I put it on a swing out. I liked the swing out for the fact that it was a lot easier on your back, but I hated the swing out for the fact that if you're backed up to a barn or whatever, your anvil is just never the right height. If it's too far and you're blowing out your shoulders, or it's too low and you're blowing out your back. So that's why I went with the Scott and just a regular stand in my new shoeing rig. So this anvil, it came from the gal's great grandpa, and the story on him is he was a U.S. cavalry horseshoer. I'm sure he didn't use this anvil for that. They packed really light, but where he was down south, he had a tobacco farm, and everybody in that area's tobacco had gotten moldy or something had happened and it was no good. And he was losing the farm, so he was gonna leave anyway. So the neighbors hired him to do kind of a Paul Revere ride, and they all went and had a dance at the town hall. And while they were doing that, he rode around and burned all their cotton barns down because they all had insurance on them. Took the money and split and came up here somewhere toward Montana and joined the U.S. Cavalry, I guess, to get away. I don't know, he was running from the law. But anyway, pretty cool story. Not sure when he got the anvil, but he probably shod horses on it if he was a U.S. Cavalry horseshoer, even if he was shoeing on his own ranch. So pretty cool story. So this is probably one of the coolest anvils I've ever owned. This one came to me from Port Angeles, Washington. I bought this anvil over a text message on a flip phone. The guy said they wanted $100 for it, and from the picture on the little bitty text message, I thought it was probably like a 50-pound anvil because it's short and squatty. So I asked him what he thought it weighed. He said, oh, it's huge, it's gotta be 200 pounds. And I thought, everybody thinks their anvil's 200 pounds. But I took a gamble on it and bought it, and my mother-in-law brought it up to me, and her SUV was really squatted, and I said, what do you got in your car? She said, your anvil. Well, it turned out to be a 215-pound anvil. It has a 5-inch base. I think by the bottom edge it's probably a Peter Wright, but I don't know. The most impressive thing about this anvil is the forge weld broke and it came in half, and they patched it with this probably 1/2-inch plate and giant rivets. So I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall the day they patched this anvil. It's now down in my nephew's shop. He builds a lot of really cool knives, and we'll probably take a look at some of those in a minute. Maybe a quick glimpse at his cool shop. And I've probably pretty much lost this anvil forever because he needs it, but it's just a pretty cool anvil. So this is the master craftsman Ethan. This is his sweet, sweet shop. He's got sanders and stuff over there. Lots of toys. Don't look at these toys. So, have I lost this anvil forever, Ethan?
Maybe.
maybe, yeah. Should we look at some knives?
Yeah, sure.
Alright, so these are some of the Damascus he does.
Oh, it's chainsaw Damascus, or chainsaw chain.
Oh.
That's just pattern welded with a brass bolster. That one's supposed to be a feather Damascus, but I'm still working on it a little bit.
Alright, and show me how this one comes apart.
This one's a takedown, but it did break, so it's supposed to be a nut, but it snapped off. All these pieces just come apart.
So explain the takedown. Is that so you can take it through the TSA at the airport?
Yeah. Just a challenge to make, so.
Yeah, it's very challenging. Now see, if I would have done this, the nut never would have broke. Because I couldn't, because I never could have done that.
Out of brass, so.
Oh, I see.
Next time. It got too hard and too brittle because it's Damascus. So.
Oh, I guess it broke off. Oh. Live you learn, right?
Yep.
I never could have done anything like that. I'm not that talented. Very cool. The one story I didn't tell down at my nephew's shop with that old Peter Wright anvil was before I built the new shop, it was sitting on my floor, and we had these great big concrete blocks right out front of my shop that they use for setting kettle guards on. And they're probably like 3,000 pounds, and they were right in the way all the time. So I made it in my mind I was gonna move them. I had my backwards Model M tractor, and I could get under them, I could lift them about 6 inches, 8 inches, and my back end had come off the ground. So I thought, I need just a little more weight. Oh, I got that anvil, that great big 200-pound anvil. So I run the shop and I lift it up and I set it on the back of the weights. Well, then I could get it up about a foot. But if I let the clutch out too much, you know, the old butt end would come up on me again. So I thought, man, I just need a little bit more weight. And my wife was standing over there, and I says, hey honey, could you jump on the back really quick? No, big mistake. But we're still married. She still loves me, I think. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video of my anvils. Make sure and comment with what anvil you guys use or what your dream anvil is, and drop it down in the comments. Remember to keep it simple, and I will catch you in the next one.